Hey everyone, it's Lexie. In today's video I'm going to be doing my spoiler-free review of Before the Devil Breaks You by Libba Bray. So this is the third book in the Diviners series, and basically the premise of it is it follows a group of people called Diviners who live in the 1920s New York. And basically they have kind of a gift, so one person can touch objects and kind of know the history of that person, or they can produce fire or heal people. And so basically they're kind of hanging out in the 1920s New York, there is this darker force called the King of Crows that kind of feeds off of death and sorrow and greed. And he's kind of been, a portal to the human world has been kind of opened, and so he is kind of going in and out, and he's going to try to take over the world essentially. And so I read the first book in this one a long time ago. I don't even remember, but the second one came out, I think it was this fall of 2015, so it's been a while since this one came out, and this one was released in October of this year, so I was really excited. I will say I was a little disappointed with the second book. It kind of let me down. I kind of lost faith in the series, but again I decided to give this book a try, and it did take me a while to kind of get back into this world, but once I did, I was obsessed. I couldn't put this book down, and it is it's just under 600 pages, and it did take me a little bit over 2 weeks to finish this, but it was well worth it. This book was so good. Perhaps reading this during the week before finals week and during finals week wasn't the best idea, but this book is so atmospheric. The author does such a good job at painting such a visual picture of the 1920s in New York, and I can see everything, and I can feel like I'm there, everything from the speakeasies to the flappers and just the style. It's very atmospheric, and I can picture myself there, and it feels very real. So when the kind of ghost aspect is kind of introduced into her, my heart is pounding, and it is very, very creepy. But yeah, this book definitely this book is a little bit more mature than the other ones, just in terms of kind of sexual stuff and also kind of gruesome murderous stuff as well. So this is kind of Harry Potter, where it kind of grows with you, but this one I would say is more kind of on the older end of new adults, just because it does deal with that. But yeah, this book does a really good job of having a lot of good representation through the characters, especially because this does take place during the 1920s. The author doesn't really sugarcoat a lot of the racial or bigotry issues that are going on, and because there's so many characters with such LGBTQ representation, there's basically African Americans, Chinese, you get to experience that racism kind of through the eyes of those characters, and I think that's very effective as well. And the author, just the way this book is, it draws a lot of parallels to what's going on in our society now. Let me find the author note, which I was where it basically sums up the whole thing, but she goes as I write this, we are in a especially divisive era in American politics. There are questions about who holds power, who abuses it, who profits from it, and at what cost to our democracy. It is a time of questions about what makes us American, or of shifting identities, inclusion and exclusion, protests, civil and human rights, the strength of our compassion versus the weakness of our fears, and the seductive lure of a mythic great past that never was versus the need for the consciousness and responsibility necessary if we are truly to live up to the rich promise of we of the people. We are a country built by immigrants, dreams, daring, and opportunity. We are a country built by the horrors of slavery and genocide and injustice of racism and exclusion. These realities exist side by side. It is our past and our present. The future is unwritten. This is a book about ghosts where we live in a haunted house, and I think that purposely describes kind of the times during the 1920s and just the eugenics movement, and basically for pure Americans, and I think that is so relevant to today and just kind of the political climate. I don't want to go anything into the plot of this, but I really, really loved the character arcs for Theta, Evie, and Sam. I think those are my favorite characters of this book, and just kind of seeing the character development. If you especially compare Evie to who she was in the first book, we kind of find out more about her and why she has this constant need for attention and all that, and I think that's really interesting. And Theta is such a complex character, and getting to see more of that in this book was really, really fun. So yeah, the only complaints I do have about this book is that I feel like it's unnecessarily long, and like it is a small font, so it does take a long time to get through. And then there's some characters that I still like really irritate me. Ling and Mabel, I think, are the two that come to mind. But other than that, like this book, I gave it 4.25 out of 5 stars. I really loved it, and if you were kind of hesitant about the second book, definitely pick this one up because it does make up for kind of the bummer that the second one was. And so yeah, I'm really excited to see. I know it might be a couple years before we get I think maybe the final book in the series. I don't know how many this book series is gonna be, but it left on such a cliffhanger, so I can't wait to see how it all ends. And like towards the end, like everyone was like dropping like flies. I'm like, oh my god, what's going on? This is crazy. So I'm really excited, and I feel like if it is the next book is the finale, I feel like it's gonna be epic. So yeah, like I said, if you were disappointed or not sure, I think you just need to stick it through. Read the first book. The first book is creepy, and it does have a good setup for like what's to come. And then the second book's okay, but this one is so good. It's my favorite out of the whole series so far. So yeah. So that's it, guys. I hope you liked this little spoiler-free review. Let me know in the comments below if you've read this series and what you think about it. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.